Hey y'all, this is AL Big Madame, and this is the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. So the episode started off with left off last time, where Zach is very much so befuddled, trying to figure out how is it that he is in jail, about to be facing all of this time over a child that he is claiming is not his. So Andy was like, look, give me a minute. I'm finna go call Robin and see if he, has made any progress. So once him and Fatima are alone, he's expressing to her that, every time he on the come up, something always come out of nowhere. Why are you so calm about all of this? And so she was like, well, what you want me to do? You want me to get all rah-rah like you and be upset? And so he was like, yes. And so she was like, well, what good is that going to do? Like, what actually is that going to do? So anyway, got over that. And so he was just like, you the same person who got these goons to beat up Hayden and all of this. So she was like, hey, you up here and I'm gonna need for you to be down here. I was like, I know that's right. And I'm just like, I understand that you're upset, but I'm gonna need for you to realize where you are. Whether you see a camera or a microphone or anything, at this point, assume that there is a bug somewhere. I'm not understanding why he's so loud with it, but he needed to calm down. Because our show was like, oh, you need to calm down. Like, I was Fatima for a second. But yeah, she was like, they're listening. I'm going to need for you to calm down. So anyway, yeah, she had to set it off real quick. But he was like, she was like, well, I got you, whatever. And so he was like, that's the problem. And I was like, wait a minute, not Zach learning a lesson, actually, understanding how it's been going and, acknowledging that. But he like, look, for the first time in my life, I got money and I shouldn't have to deal with this. Every time I turn around, is you saving me. It's always Danny. It's always Andy. Y'all shouldn't have to come through and save me. It shouldn't be a woman always coming through and saving me. Child, I done broke my little, I'm going to fix it though. This is a little gummy bear, oh, I fixed it that quick. Okay, because I was about to be upset. I like this little bracelet. But yeah, trying to figure out why is it being set off on the left, right, front, and the back like this, child? And so she was just like, look, you need to calm down. Look, the people might be listening. So it then got to a point where he was like, look, I'm so sick and tired of this. Like, she was like, look, we're going to get through it. You ain't got to worry about it. And so she was just like, we're going to get through this. And he was like, well, what if we don't? Y'all excuse me, I have issues. So she was like, as I was going to say, that, after that, after they have exhausted all options, possible options, she going to end up breaking him out of there. So he looked up at this heifer like, And so she was like, you think I'm joking? He was talking about something, you better be. I'm like, yeah. She was like, I told you I'm crazy. And I'm like, well, she did tell you that. So he done hugged her leg and they done went on about their business. So she out in the hallway, Andy called Robin, trying to figure out what it's hidden for. So, found out information, is relaying information to him. And so he was like, well, they can't do that. Because how you going to sit up here and say he on probation, but he ain't get no notification from nobody? And so she was like, yeah, he said that, nobody informed him of any of this stuff. Like, he didn't know he was back on probation. And he's claiming that the child isn't his. So he was like, look, well, who's the DA? She told him who the DA was. And he was like, oh, that's the assistant DA. So she was like, oh, okay. Found out that the DA is actually somebody who he went to school with, mama. So, he cool with them. And so she was like, okay then. So he was like, first of all, now that I got those questions out, I had another question for you. So she was like, all right, shoot. This man got the audacity to ask her what they got going on with one another. Like, are y'all sleeping together? So she was like, what? Zach? Like, her voice got so high pitched, like she was appalled. She was appalled. She was like, wait a minute. She was like, no, that's my best friend's ex. Like, no. And so he was like, okay, so he must be, I didn't know what it was because, like, you going up for him. Like, I'm going to need to understand. Like, for you to do this, I was thinking something was going on. And so she was like, he just deserves a shot. He's a good dude, whatever, whatever. So since he sat up there and asked what he asked, she was like, okay, so have you slept with the DA's daughter or something in the past? And so he was like, no, I have not. And so he was like, okay, so this is what you're doing. She was like, I mean, you asked me a question, so I was asking you a question. So, you know, he gonna try to work on it to see what else he can do, because he might be able to pull some strings to really get him out this time. So now we see Maurice and Q at the house. Q just sat up there and made breakfast. And Maurice came out, got ready for work and all of this. And so he over here was, I made breakfast. He was like, good. So he over here, y'all know how Maurice is all the time. Then Calvin come from the back, which I'm confused about, because isn't that where Maurice's room is? And isn't the bathroom over there somewhere where Calvin's room is at? I'm confused. I'm confused because he came from around the corner, because he kicked him out of his room. So why would he be coming from Maurice's area again? It sounded like he come from Maurice's bedroom, or did the bedroom, like, I'm confused. Maybe I just forgot where the bathroom was. I thought the bathroom was over there with him, because I'm looking at the scene right now and I'm thinking straight back is Maurice's room, and then there's a bathroom right there. Maybe there's a second bathroom. I don't know. I could have swore the bathroom was over there on the side of the apartment where he at. Anyway, he came out. You could tell he has a hangover. And Q just sat up here and he was like, well, drink this. He was like, well, what's in it? He was like, it'll help you with your hangover. He was like, yeah, I don't trust you. So Maurice was like, you should trust him. So everything that Maurice is saying to Calvin, Calvin is like, you know, I don't believe you. The last time you said something, that's the reason why me and Sabrina are going through everything we're going through now. And he was like, oh, well, I have proof in my phone. Done took pictures and videos and things of them in his bed. He looking at the phone like, why he ain't got no clothes on? And so, like, every question that Maurice asked was what Calvin asked. But like I said before, sir, you came in the house while he was already comfortable trying to sleep on the couch. I mean, maybe he could have taken a moment to put some pants on, but at the same time, he was already comfortable. My thing is, I'm not rushing to go and throw my clothes back on. Now, if I was fully naked, yeah, I might have grabbed a robe. But at the same time, he couldn't stop him from going into Maurice's room. So he went in there and he joined him. But at the same time, again, he still, I don't know. I feel like he could have figured out another way to kind of take care of him without him just laying in his lap. Anyway, it is what it is. He left, went on in his room. So Maurice and Q are talking. And he done told him, he was like, fix me some juice. And handed me a fork, a knife, and a spoon. So he's handing him everything. And he's trying to figure out what he need a spoon for. Because all he got is a biscuit, some bacon, and some eggs. And so he really trying to figure out what the spoon for. And I feel like he trying to dirty up the dishes so he'll have extra dishes to clean. That's my guess. Anyway, Karen is at work. And it looks like it's pretty slow in there, but I digress. So Aaron done rolled up and he was like, oh, well, I just dropped by to give you your keys. And so she was like, oh, those aren't my keys. Trying to figure out whose keys they are. And he was like, well, they're not mine. So she was like, well, where'd you get them from? He said that he got them out of like a couch cushion at her house or something. And so she was like, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me see them. Took them back. And so she was like, oh, these are Zach's keys. And so she was like, look, he must have forgot them when he dropped by, when he talked to me a while back. And, you know, he's never contacted her about them. So she didn't think anything about anything missing. So, I mean, it was what it was. So you could kind of tell he kind of like, all right. But then he was like, you know what? Okay, so can I see you tonight? She was like, sure, I would like that. And I'm just like, you need to stop using this man. You don't want him. Like, but he dumb for accepting it. So, I mean, I can't be too mad. Do what you do. So, anyway, after all was said and done, he left out and he told me he gonna bring her pickles and ice cream. Pam done rolled up and she was like, look, call Zach and have him to come and retrieve his keys. And so she was like, I'll send them to him. And she was like, no, call him and have him to come up here. So she was like, girl, you want him to come up here? That's crazy. And I mean, all this time he hasn't called you. He hasn't asked for him. Like, what you talking about? Apparently, he don't want him. So then eventually Pam was like, well, I think, who said it first? Karen said something about him being in jail first. And so she was like, oh, okay, y'all know Pam be knowing. Pam knew it. So she was like, mama don't be spilling tea first. So she was like, if you already knew this was the situation, like, why would you just sit up here? Like I said, she said she ain't spilling it first. I said, I know that's right. So Sabrina is at work. The Princeton rolled up and brought her a bouquet of flowers. And so he wanted to know if she could take a break so they could talk. And so she was like, no, not right now, but we can come and talk privately in my office. Went in her office. And so she was like, why didn't you tell me you were Prince? He trying to figure out how she found out. And so she was like, because there were women from your country who approached me. And so he was like, what? Ended up showing him the picture that was taken of them all together. So now he knows for sure that that is how she knows. And he was just like, look, I'm a big deal back where I'm from. It's a small country, but, you know, it's low key here. Don't nobody know. And, you know, wants to know if it's a problem for her. And I mean, essentially, she was just like, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know. It is what it is. So anyway, she was like, well, I'm going to get back to work and do what I'm doing. Thank you for the flowers. And so he was like, you ain't going to read your card? So she read the card and then she turned around and said yes. So what happened was he asked her out on a date. And so y'all know she insists on driving herself. And he was like, no, either I'm going to come pick you up or you're going to allow me to send a car to you. So she was like, okay. Y'all, I was dying because while the conversation was going on, as it got towards the end, Maurice, you can see him in the background through the blinds, like creeping up to the window, being nosy. And I was like, sir, if you don't get away from this window. So this man then exited the room and he over here talking gibberish and the Prince looking at him like, boy, and walked out the door. So then he gonna come in the office talking about some, why can't somebody roll up on me like that or whatever. She told him that you're jealous and all of this because he was like, jealous of what? Jealous of what? I got the face, the waist, the hips. Where am I jealous? He be having me dying. But anyway, he talking about he wants somebody to bring him flowers and he got all that money. What he see in her, he be really reading. But I really feel like deep down, he does think that she's a beautiful woman. She just be having these ways of looking frumpy and Tyler Perry and them need to stop. Like, I feel like you could be eclectic, but you look good. Like frumpy and a certain like high level of eclectic works on very few people. And the way they doing it on her, it ain't it. Like, it be days where they be trying to make it seem like, ooh, we gonna make Sabrina look like she's setting it off today. And I'd be like, ooh, y'all missed the mark because that ain't it. Anyway, so meanwhile at the airport, Danny minded her business and old boy done rolled up who was the undercover agent. And so he is waiting on his next assignment, whenever that's going to be. But he done rolled up. He, you know, looks different from how he normally looks. He got a nice little suit on. And so like she acting like she here for it. And so she is agreeing to dinner and she says that she's really going to be there this time. And like she keep on like objectifying him in a sense, but he here for it. And so she was just like, ooh, yeah, I like that. Then she told this man to slowly walk away and everything. And he really did it. Like they were kind of flirting. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't see it. I don't see the chemistry, but they trying to make it happen. I don't see it, but go off though. Anyway, they supposed to link up and I'm just like, no. So at Zach's house, the contractor, I think the person who was like, I guess you would call him the foreman or the one that's over the whole crew. He outside in the work truck waiting on Zach. Like he waiting on him at the door. And so old boy who works for Gary then rolled up and he was like, what's going on here? He was like, I'm waiting for Zach. Like he really going off. He was like, he owe me $3,500 and he owes me and I'm supposed to get paid today. He ain't been nowhere to be found. He ain't answering his phone, whatever. And so he was like, oh, I'll call it for you. He was like, ain't no reason. Ain't no need for you to call him. I already been calling him all day. So he was like, you know what? Show me the invoice. He showed him the invoice. And apparently he was telling the truth about how much was owed. So he pulled out the checkbook and he was like, is this good? And he was like, what you think? So he was like, look, this better not bounce. Because he got to pay himself and his employees for the last part of that job. And so he was like, look, I'm going to keep this invoice and I'm going to get square with Zach. So since old boy said that he wasn't able to get in contact with him by calling him, he called Andy's office, got Andy on the phone. Andy was being very evasive, didn't tell him nothing. And I mean, who are you? Because you don't need to know nothing anyway. And so he was like, well, haven't been able to get in contact with him for the last couple of days. And this is when she finds out that he works for Gary. And so she kind of feel like it's suspicious anyway. Like, all right, now, why are you? Like, how y'all meet? How did Gary and him meet? Like, she asking all these questions. And I'm like, oh, okay, so y'all already know she's suspicious anyway. Child. He was like, look, I need to be able to talk to somebody. Like, do you have Fatima's number? And she had to read him. She was like, you don't know him. Do you even know him well enough to understand that this isn't like him? Because he was like, oh, it's not like him to, be missing like this or whatever. And I'm just like, you right, Andy. Like, this is one of the few times that I 100% agree with you, because sometimes you just be acting dumb. And it be for stupid reasons that don't make no sense. And I'm just like, girl, we gonna play that role like you don't understand. Girl, anyway. So she was like, look, I will give Fatima's your number. I will give her your number, but I'm not going to give her number to you. Like, what is we doing? And so he was like, well, don't you want to take my number down? And so she was like, we have caller ID. I have a pen and paper. I'll take your number down. So she trying to figure out what is going on. What's the connection? Something ain't right. Something in her soul ain't right. She can't sleep at night. So anyway, moving right along. If this would actually start playing, I don't know why it stopped. So Preston ended up rolling up. It's like everybody is there. So he was like, what's up? What's going on? He was like, well, I've been trying to call Zach. Zach ain't been responding to my messages. He ain't been calling me back. I'm just trying to check on him. And so he was like, oh, okay, dang. Like, I don't know what's going on with him either. And so he was like, is there anybody else that you know of that you can contact that might know what's going on with him? He thought about it. He was like, unfortunately, there is, but I really don't want to call him. And so he was like, man, please do it, because I need to figure out what's going on with him. Y'all know he had to call Danny. So he called Danny. Danny looked at her phone, rolled her eyes, and answered the phone. And immediately, after she basically was like, oh, look, the dead has risen or something like that, she said something about the dead is alive or something she said. Because you know how some people, they be acting funny and don't talk to you for forever. And it's like, oh, I thought you was dead. You ain't said nothing in so long. Ain't been no responses. You ain't reached out in so long. I thought you were dead. That's basically what she was giving. And so he didn't say, hey, Danny, how you doing? And nothing. There was no greeting, which I didn't appreciate. Like, I understand that you and your feelings, but you could have at least been like, hey, Danny, how you doing? Tried to at least fake a little bit, some kind of something, and at least been cordial in the beginning of the conversation. He was like, have you seen Zach? What? Oh, so you called to see where Zach was at. You ain't called to have no conversation with me. But then it was funny because every time she did respond to him, she was like, why? So you could ask him more questions about me? I already told you that you cannot get information from him. It's all going to backfire. It doesn't work. So eventually she does tell him that Zach is in jail. He's trying to figure out why he in jail, which location he at, and all this other stuff. So, y'all know how that go. It didn't end well. So Andy is at her desk and she's trying to get some stuff going, still looking like she's going over briefs and doing what she's supposed to do. And Robin then rolled up and was like, it's good to see you. How you doing? And all this other stuff. Popped in real quick before he was going to head out. And so he let her know that he's going to be released shortly. So when he left out, she called Fatima and was like, hey girl, where you at? And so she gonna lie to my she at the house. So Andy was like, well, how soon can you get down to the jail? They're releasing him. So she was like, 2 seconds. She was like, girl, I'm outside the jail. I lied. Like, look, but you probably gonna look at me like I'm just over here just waiting on my man at the door. She was like, but you are though. Like, it don't matter. Like, I don't even understand why Fatima even cared whether or not she was gonna try to judge. That's the last person who should be able to try to judge somebody. Look, Exhibit A, Gary, A through Z. That stupid relationship. Anyway, so then Robin remembered something and went back to tell Andy about it. He was like, hey, before I forget, Hayden has gotten his hands on some airport footage. I don't know what he up to, but I don't know. And my first thought was, Now, sir, for them to know this, you have to be using one of the company's computers. Why would you then do that on the company's computers? Why would you do your own investigations on the company's computers? That's not making sense. See, this is another example of the math ain't mathing. How you gonna be a lawyer and you the type of dude that want to be flashy and try to be like, oh, I'm a lawyer and I'm this and I'm that. You had these baby TVs in your house. TVs ain't even expensive like that, and they stay having deals on like great brands of TVs. Prime Day just ended. I just saw a 50-inch amazing type of a TV, amazing brand TV for $99. That was this morning. I'm just saying, that was a Prime Day deal. I don't know how many they had in stock. I'm just saying, you don't even be having the bare minimum. But you setting it off like a dummy instead of procuring your own laptop and computer and taking this stuff to your house and working from your house looking through this footage. But anyway, Robin don't know what he doing it for, but he was just like, I know he ain't up to no good. I don't know what it is. And so Andy is like, you know, do you think this is something that's going to get him in trouble or caught up in some kind of way? And so he was like, I really hope it is, because it ain't going to do nothing but make his job easier to fire him. So, but little do they know, it has everything to do with Zach. So he in his office just looking at footage. He been looking at footage for hours of the airport. Child, I'm so sick and tired of hating. So anyway, Gary at his office pacing back and forth and acting like a spoiled child with an attitude who need a beating, who ain't never been beaten in their life. One of them children who your parent sat up there and was like, hi, little Johnny. Na, 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 na. Instead of telling them what it is, you over here not whooping them. You can't do that. You wasn't even doing that. Like, you wasn't even doing the bare minimum as a parent. That's the type of attitude and I'm mad and all of that he had going on. And I'm just like, you are a whole adult acting like a child in this moment. So Aaron then rolled up. And so he's trying to figure out what's going on. He was like, I bought that place for her and she had this man up in there. And so like we have already, anybody who has common sense has figured out, he done sat up here thinking that because he done bought all this stuff for Andy, that he gonna be the one on the receiving end of any benefits that could come from it. Meaning, if she gonna get with somebody, he gonna be the one that she gonna run to, call, and all of that. But no, the first man she had up in there that she had any type of a sexual interest in was Robin, and he had busted wide open, told him to bring it back. He was the one spreading the thighs and butt cheeks. He mad because he wasn't the one back there doing it. But again, you thought you was going to buy her. She already read you before and said to you, I'm going to need for you to know you can't buy me. So then the fact that he keep on saying, I bought this, I don't know why, but it was funny to me because I was like, but sir, didn't nobody tell you to roll up in the apartment she had already been paying for and had paid for and had furnished because she's a lawyer and she has money? You know, take notes, Hayden. I'm just like, why are you making it seem like you pulled her out up by the straps of her boots because she was on the street? You making it seem like she was homeless and you pulled her out the gutter and you did all of these things to her. Like that, you try to make it seem like you did all of these things for her. Like she never had nothing. Like she never had the means to do these things on her own. Didn't nobody tell you to go inside of her apartment, take these items out, put them into storage? Y'all excuse me. I need to drink some tea. Didn't nobody tell you to do none of this. Then you furnished it with stuff that you knew she would like. You paid for it and it's in her name and you told her it was hers as if it was no strings attached. But now you mad because you ain't on the receiving end of no kind of benefits that's going to come out of it. That's your fault. That's your problem. Sounds like a personal problem to me, and it is. If you don't get up out of here. So anyway, he in his feelings, and old boy had to tell him, but it's hers though. And didn't, like, after I said what I said, Aaron came right behind me and was like, but didn't nobody tell you to buy that for her? She had her own place. I was like, about time, Aaron. And y'all know I can't stand Aaron. Can't stand him. So anyway, it was so bad that he was like, I'm gonna go over there and talk to her right now. And all of this, he had to tell that fool, no, you're not going anywhere. You need to calm down. He gonna stand over in the corner like this. looking like a spoiled, angry child. Get out of here. Like, Hayden and Gary will only learn by the tip of a slug. These are people who have to die to learn. I'm sorry to say it, but that is the only way. That is the only way. Some people have to die to learn their lesson, and I hate it, but they got to go. I'm tired of them. Anyway, so Fatima is inside of the jail. Andy arrived. And so, you know, she let her know what the situation was. And she was like, girl, you ain't got to stay. She was like, are you sure? She was like, yeah, you ain't got to stay. So the way that she was speaking about how all this stuff came about because of the involvement of Robin, she was like, girl, what is that? And, you know, Fatima be peeping stuff, and I'm here for it. And so, you know, she was like, oh, so you're going to invite him over? And the fact that Fatima told her that she need to watch her back because Gary bought that stuff, she was like, girl, I ain't worried about it. This is going to be a true test as to whether or not it really is mine or not. Meaning that apartment, that place, whatever they call it, the condo or whatever it is, child. And so she was like, okay, so are you going to invite him over tonight? She was like, if I want to, which means if she want him to come over there, he will roll up. And I'm like, yeah. But I'm still not here for how much she put on it for him. I'm still not here for how much she go up for him, because it's like, y'all are literally an entanglement. Y'all are an entanglement. And yes, y'all have sexual chemistry. Y'all are having these soul ties. That is what is happening here. There is no romantic chemistry going on from what I see so far. But anyway, so they finna leave. Zach done got out. He happy he done got out. At this point, I'm trying to figure out, are y'all gonna cut it and run or what? Because even Robin was like, do you think he gonna try to run? And so she was like, no, I don't think he's gonna try to run. Fatima's smart. Fatima might convince him to just, let's go live somewhere where you can't get extradited and don't even know what even is going on with the rest of the scenario yet. Like, Fatima might already be a couple of steps ahead. Well, then they gonna show Hayden in the last scene, looking at the video footage. We see where Zach is interacting with that senator's wife, who, you know, they ended up having the litigation situation with their company and all of that. And so he was like, what are you doing on this flight? He done looked up the manifest and everything. And so he done connected the dots. And I'm like, I hate the fact that this is the one time that I actually see your lawyer skills going into effect on a case that you're not even being paid for, that you have created out of thin air. But anyway, let me calm down, y'all. This is a TV show. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this recap review of Tyler Perry's Sistas. Thumbs up this video for me and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Let's talk about this foolishness down in the comment section, because I'm so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of Hayden and Gary and even Aaron. Aaron didn't even do nothing this episode. He actually did decent in this episode, but I don't like him. I ain't liked him from day one, and I'm not going to ever like him more than likely knowing me. I'm not going to like him. But anyway, let's talk about this foolishness down in the comment section. Y'all be safe out there. Stay cool, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.